Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I finally have our term 3 review. Excited to share with you guys some of our hits from term 3 with my kids, and I also just want to share a little life update. So hi, it's been a while. I have not shown my face here on my channel. We have been through quite the season, and it's just been really busy, but I'll try to give you a little just catch up of what has kept me away and what we have been up to. And in the meantime, I would love to hear how your summer's going, and whether you're doing school or not. What are you up to this summer? Are you gardening? Are you just relaxing? Are you vacationing? I would love to hear just a highlight of what and how things are going for you. So if you are new here, hi, welcome. My name is Hannah. I'm a homeschool mom of 5, and I share things all homemaking, homeschooling, mother culture here on this channel. And so I try to do a term life video update whenever we finish and complete a term. And so we have just finished term 3 of our homeschool year. We kind of all year round schooled this year because we took off the month of December, and we also took off about 2 to 4 weeks when I had a baby in the month of February, moving into March. And so we have just completed term 3. We actually finished it right before the 4th of July. And so I'm excited to share some of the things that we really loved. Some of the things that just did not happen, I think because it was like a spring, summer term. And I'll just talk about how I kind of wrapped my mind around that and what that looked like for all of us. But I would love to know, what have you been up to this summer? We're like halfway through the summer. I can't believe it. We've had such a busy summer. It has been very different from every other summer that I've ever experienced. It's just been a lot going on. And I'll share a little bit of that here in a minute. But let me know what you've been up to. Are you gardening? Are you vacationing? Are you going to the beach? Are you doing school? Like, what are you doing? Let me know that in the comments below. I always love to just talk with you and hear from you and just hear how things are going. So let's chat a little life update, and then I'll talk about like the term and just what's been going on. So this summer has just been extremely busy. June was probably the busiest June I've ever had since I got married, because we got married in June. It was just crazy. We had a lot going on. My daughters had their golden birthdays, so they turned 12 and 10, and we had multiple celebrations. I felt like it was a month of birthdays, and it was a lot of fun, and they just had a really good time, memorable, and felt blessed. And so that was a great thing. We had my in-laws visit for a weekend, so that was really wonderful. It's just a lot of little things. And then we got in an accident about the middle of the month, which just threw us for a spin. And so I had to take a step back from social media, and I feel like I'm just now getting my feet back wet. So if you've been here wondering where I'm at, we've just been really busy. And so, I just haven't been able to pull the camera out. And so that's just is what it is sometimes, right? Anyway, so we were in a serious accident on the freeway. Thank the Lord, we were all fine. My 2 sons were with us and the baby, not my older girls. And it all worked out, and we have a new car now. It took a couple weeks, but everything is good. Everything's fine. I finally felt like this past week we had our first week where things were normal, if you can call normal. It just felt really good to have like a regular week after just a crazy season all the way up to 4th of July. So in that time, we were still trying to do school and finish our term 3. We had like 2 or 3 days per week where we were doing school, and what that looked like. And it was just very different. We've never schooled really in the summer, so that was just a whole different kind of just thing for us. But I also was really busy putting in my garden, which has just been very different this year. I have a 4-month-old. She's going to be 5 months here in a few days. And so trying to work around her sleep schedule and her feeding schedule, and also still trying to do a garden. So it's not everything that I thought it would be, my 3rd year gardening, but I'm really happy with what it is. And so that kept me busy for a while, just trying to get the garden in, doing a few projects around the house, trying to get my boys' room painted and finally just put together since we moved out the girls, and they have their own space. So I've been working on that and a few other things here, and just hosting and involved with our church and friends and all the things. So I'm sure you guys are many ways the same way, and you have full, wonderful, just busy lives. And so I would love to hear some of that down below. But we did finish our term, and it was very different. The second half, schooling in June, which we've never done before, but because of my pregnancy and just the needs of our family, we took the month of December off. We do follow Ambleside online, and so there were a lot of things that I still wanted to do, 3 12-week terms, and I did want to complete most of those books just because I feel like they're so rich and so valuable. So that just put us, and then we took time off for the baby in February, so that basically put us in a year-round school because we had started the first week of August and we went to basically July 4th. So we have a couple weeks we're going to take off, and then we're probably going to restart again in August. I don't think I'll need to take December off again, and so we probably won't have to school that far into June. And even if we do, and we do all year round school, I now kind of understand the expectations of that and what that might look like. So if you do year-round school, or you kind of go with the ebb and flow of seasons, then this probably looks very normal for you. But this was our first year doing that, where before we took a pretty solid summer break. We took the Sabbath break, where 6 weeks on, 1 week off. So this year just looked very different for us with a baby and a newborn and pregnancy, and it was just a very different year. I think sometimes it was hard for my girls. And little boy that's in kindergarten, and then sometimes it was good. It was good because we had that freedom. So there was a give and take with it. Now, in terms of term 3 compared to term 2, what I found was we just did not get our necessarily, once the days got longer, there were just some things that I was like, you know what? Is it put in the garden and enjoy the outside more important than some of these books that I know as a family we're just going to keep reading? And so I just let a lot of that go. And I let my desire to do all the things, I kind of let that go. So that sun's going to come in. The sun is beautiful, but it's a little bit bright for the YouTube video. But I'll share with you the books that I did drop come June, just because I thought in the grand scheme of things, they're not that important, and I'd rather just be outside or be at the beach. And so once we get to June, I can look back at our June schedule between visits from family and birthdays and events and holidays and everything in between. And we probably only did on average 3 days of school per week. And some of those days were the girls just doing their Ambleside readings and independent work, which I thought was perfectly fine. So I'll share about that. I have their exams here, and I'll kind of share just what that looked like. So first, I just want to say, I think that as a mom, I think the farther we get along in our homeschool journey, the more we realize that school is life. And even when you're doing a beautiful program like Ambleside, you need to not let the curriculum hold power over you or your desire to complete things or do it all. It's okay to make it yours and make it work for your family and for your children. And just knowing when it's not working, when to drop things and be okay with that, right? And me talking, my oldest is going to be in 7th grade, so 6th grade. So we've been homeschooling about 7 years. Very different perspective than when she was younger. And so I've just learned to give myself grace and give my children grace. And I just want to encourage you to look at your new year and just keep that in mind, that we might lay out all of these plans, but God only knows the plans that will come into fruition and his plan for us. And that's good. That's a good thing. And it's okay if everything we plan doesn't happen. Before I jump into our books, I did want to share about a book that I have been enjoying and reading. I will give a full review in my next book review video, but this was sent to me by Karen Andriola, and it is the most wonderful, sweetest story that I have read in a very, very long time, and it hits the heart to a homeschool mom. This is by Karen. She has written so many wonderful, sweet books that maybe you've heard of, like Pocket Full of Pine Cones, or my absolute favorite, Mother Culture. It's one of the top books I recommend to so many people, but this is a light fiction, gentle read for the homeschool mom that Karen has written, and it is about Carol, this mom, and her life with her 3 little ones and her husband. It's set in the 1930s, and what I love what Karen does in this book is she spends a lot of time detailing their everyday life, whether that is making bread or it's doing a simple nature study with her son out, observing something in nature, or it's putting the baby to sleep and doing the laundry, or just having a sweet conversation with her husband about something, or her inner thoughts and struggles that Carol is kind of like wrestling with in her own spiritual life. Thought it was very beautiful. And not only is it a wonderful read for every single mother out there, I feel like it has a special place in the Charlotte Mason motherhood heart. And so if you're looking for a fiction book that's going to give you encouragement in your journey and in your choices, this book, Michael's Gentle Wife, which is about Carol is going to become one of your book friends, just because she has been for me. And it's just lovely, lovely written, and has just a lot of detail in this Carol's everyday life. So I will share this link below. Karen, thanks so much for sending this to me. It's so sweet to have a signed copy from one of my favorite authors as a mom, homeschool mom. And so this has just been such a delight. And a very much an encouragement to me as well in my walk as a mom. And I know it will be for every mom that picks up this book. So Ambleside, if you're new and you're not sure, Ambleside is a Charlotte Mason curriculum. It is free. It's online. Everything is provided for you, whether it is like enrichment studies or book recommendations, even your basic like math, writing, and reading. They have resources and curriculums that they recommend. And we stumbled upon Ambleside through a friend about 3 years ago, and it has been our core way of doing school the last 3 years. And so I have a lot of videos backing into our Ambleside journey. So if you want to check out that playlist, feel free to, and hopefully it'll be a resource for you as you navigate your homeschool journey. So this year, my daughters were in year 5, year 3, and then I had a kindergarten son. And so they were in 6th grade, 4th grade, and kindergarten, but it's just based on where we entered into the AO. I chose the years for them, and that's where it looks. So this was our term 3. And so if you've done year 3 or year 5, some of these books might look familiar to you. So my year 3 student, I asked her what was her favorite books from the term, because I always like sharing those with you, because then I think it helps us decide if we do have to skip things, like what do people actually enjoy. And her 2 favorites were the American Tall Tales, which were just so sweet. And you could read this with really as a family. But it's all the American Tall Tales, like Paul Bunyan and Johnny Appleseed. So she said that this was her favorite book, and her other favorite book was Squanto, which is about Squanto. And again, I feel like my girls always choose their biographies as their favorite books. So she really liked Squanto, Friend of the Pilgrims. She also read The Landing of the Pilgrims, but she said it wasn't her favorite, though she thinks other kids might like it. She just felt like it was a little bit boring, were her words. But these were her 2 favorite books from term 3, year 3, term 3. And her narration was really cute. And it asked about like the Union Jack, which was from the Island Story. And she had Samson, and talked about, she learned more about like Jesus's death in her Bible, which was really good. I felt we finished Marco Polo. And so she learned a lot about, China and India, and we kind of mapped out his journey, and I thought that was really helpful, and I think will help build in her later years, getting an understanding of like Eastern culture, just in a little bit through Marco Polo. And of course we had, she had natural history, general science, and then one thing I did do different, I would say, in their term exams for term 3, is I did not ask a lot of the questions that were in the enrichment studies. So like Plutarch, Shakespeare, nature study, handicraft, music, almost the whole second half, anything after like their natural history and geography. And that's because in our homeschool co-op, we cover a lot of those subjects. And we did like a family get together at the end of the term. The girls acted out 3 scenes from a Shakespeare play, Love, Labor's Lost, this term. They shared a recitation, and they shared their handicrafts and nature books with the grandparents and other family friends that were there. So I felt like they almost had their own display of their term with a lot of those extracurricular things. And so this term, I didn't want to like kill a dead horse. And so, or whatever the term is for that. So I thought, I'm not going to ask all those questions. They already did like that with all their friends and their family and their grandparents. And so I thought that was really a sweet way for us to end our year. So I just specifically asked questions on their personal readings for this term. So Bible and history and geography and all of that. So that's what this looked like. My girls just turned 12 and 10. They just turned 12 and 10. My 12-year-old did almost all written narrations. I just print them off the Ambleside website, and then I have them write it right on these like loose leaf papers. And she did like 2 or 3 oral narrations. And then my 10-year-old did like half and half. She did half like oral, half written narrations. So that was really, really good. And I thought was a good success. It did take us 3 days because it was summertime, right before 4th of July. So I just had them do like a couple questions from like 10 to 11, and then they went out to play. So I felt like that was fine in terms of summer schedule. It was just really hard for us to do like a lot of our morning time books. So I'll get into the ones that we dropped when it came June. And then my year 5 student, which is my 6th grader, her 2 favorite books for year 5, term 3. The first one, she said, was George Washington Carver. She has loved the biographies. She also did Teddy Roosevelt, which she said she liked too. But Teddy Roosevelt, it was written from like a third person. It wasn't like, more story-like. And so I think that's why she didn't enjoy it as much. At least that's what she said. Where George Washington Carver started from his childhood. And she said she really likes biographies that start from when they're like a little kid and then it goes through their whole life. So she loved this George Washington Carver, 5-star from her. All right, and then her second favorite was anatomy. It was anatomy for term 1, term 2, and so go figure, is anatomy for term 3. She'll actually continue this book in the next year, and I think even the year after that, because they only do like 2 chapters per term. Now, I know this is a textbook, and so as far as the Charlotte Mason curriculum, you would think that this is not one that delights her, but this just goes to show you that if a child is interested in it, they will love it. And so she's like memorized everything about the human anatomy. We go to the library, and that's what she rents out, are the kid books for the human anatomy, and she wants to just learn all the things. And so this is really like a reinforcement of things she's already read at the library. So that's been really wonderful. I do think that with the Charlotte Mason education, you do get exposed to a lot of different things, and so you're able to kind of see what is your child interested in. My girls have loved Shakespeare. If I hadn't done Charlotte Mason, I may never thought of doing Shakespeare because I didn't do Shakespeare. They love it. So maybe your kid will or won't. But that's just something you're going to get to find out by doing such a wide variety, by providing them with that feast. Isn't that incredible? I love it. And so these were her 2 favorites from her year 5, term 3. Again, her questions on like her exam, I both had them do like cursive. And then they did like composition. She did have some like English grammar because we follow the Simply Charlotte Mason Simply Spelling and Language curriculum, using Language Well curriculum, which if you're interested in that, I can link that video down below. U.S. history, she has some world history because she has like world history just books. Abraham Lincoln's World she did, and Story of the World. So she does have some world history questions, and then her geography as well. So that was pretty much what her term exam looked like. So now let me chat a little bit about my youngest son and then family studies and what that looked like for us in the summer, because once we hit June, it was just kind of like dinker, 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 which I kind of knew it was going to happen. So I was trying to set my expectations for that, just because I knew that that was going to happen here in the Midwest once the days got longer and we had warmer days. And June was really hot, actually. We had like a whole heat wave before the 4th of July. Killer hot. So that's just how it goes. In terms of my younger son, we have continued with his reading, writing, and math. and that has gone really, really well. He has a solid foundation. So I was planning on starting him in year 1. He turned 6 in December, so he's right smack dab in the middle of the year, and I had bought all the books and planned to do him in year 1 last year. I'm so glad I waited between our Christmas break and the new baby. I think it just may have been a little bit inconsistent for him in terms of all of the things. So I think that worked out for the better, and he has his little basics really under control. He's going to be 6.5 come the new school year. We'll be able to sit for longer periods of time. We have used Matthew C, so he's like almost done with Alpha. We have literally 8 lessons left in 100 lessons to read. He's so close. We'll finish it this summer. We've done it every morning as like part of our routine. We break it up into like 2 or 3 lessons per lesson. We do not rush that book at all. And then we've used the Simply Charlotte Mason handwriting curriculum, and so he's been doing his copy work and getting his letters really, really good. So I've been really happy with that. I think he's more than prepared for a year 1 as going into as a 6.5-year-old. So I think that's really good. So that's what him and I have been doing. Once we hit summer, I would say our timetable and rhythm, it didn't completely go out the door. Like, we always have our morning routine. It's like ingrained in us. Practice your music, brush your teeth, brush your hair, eat breakfast, all of that stuff that we've been doing since they were little. We do not negotiate that in this house. That is something that kind of like grounds us. So important. And so we do all of those things. They do their morning routine. They know that. The expectation is there. And so once June hit and we weren't necessarily doing as many family readings, we were really just listening to like a folk song or a hymn. While we were eating breakfast, we had those playlists going on our Yodo, which was really just wonderful. And we had like a read aloud, maybe some Spanish, and that was basically it. We actually only got through 3 pictures of our picture study, which I was like, that's fine. Honestly, we'll just redo that picture study next term. It's not a big deal for that artist. And it's the same with our classical composer and all of that. So let me look at our family studies, and I'll tell you specifically like what we got through. We actually got through half of our desired readings for Trial and Triumph, and what's that one called? Parables of Nature, our catechism, our folk song, our hymns, all of that. So all of those were fine. We just didn't do like the last 1 or 2, because once we hit June, I was like, we are going to continue these books anyway. We do those family style. Not going to stress about it. We'll just pick it back up in August or September, and I'll just have the girls focus on their personal readings and save that like half an hour to an hour, and also just the overload of their mind. So those were things that I let go in term 3, and so I just didn't put those on their exams. And we do so much in our co-op anyway, so I didn't feel bad about that at all. But they did finish their whole term 3 readings for their Ambleside, the ones that I choose, because a lot of those we do as a family, like Trial and Triumph, Parables of Nature, some of their literature books, etc. My year 5 term 3 student, I did not have her do Kim by Rudyard Kipling. I think I mentioned that I was going to have her do Anne of Green Gables instead, and she loves it. I knew she would love it, and it's been a delight for her to read. And so that was one switch that we made. Everything else we did, except for those 2 things that we dropped. And I think that worked really, really well for us in this term. And so now going into, the new fall here, August, I'm going to have a half a year old, I guess you could say, a preschooler, and then a year 1 student, and then we'll have a year 6 and a year 4. So I have plans for next year of combining even a few more things, even though, like I said, we do Ambleside, because my 10-year-old is going to be in year 4. There are going to be some things that she's going to do with her sister. So what I'm planning on doing, I'll get into more, but basically we'll have some like family stuff that will be with my year 1, first grader, and then he'll be excused to have some playtime. And then I'll continue with some things that I'm going to do with both of my girls, like Plutarch, Latin, and maybe even readings like Trial and Triumph that probably will leave just for us to do together, and then the girls will split into their own ways after that. So I have more to talk about in terms of back to school and planning and all of that. Those videos are coming, Lord willing. That is my plan, to show you guys more peeks into that. I'm also going to show you other things that are going on in our lives, like my garden and different things that have been happening. My youngest brother, the baby of the family, is getting married at the end of August. He is the last one. My mom had 7 kids. She homeschooled all of us, and he's the last one. And so it's a pretty amazing thing. We're very, very excited. He has all his brothers. His brothers are standing up, and their wives, and so we'll be standing up, and we're just excited to celebrate that. So that's also been part of the busyness and excitement of our summer. And we're always trying to get in, like, you know, beach days and fun in that way too. So wow, what a whirlwind. So anyways, that is our term 3 review, my girls' favorite books, things that just went really well. I felt, I know that next year, if we end up doing this again and we meander into June a little bit, we will survive. We will survive some summer school. It's fine. Just know that you can let some things go and pivot and do what your family needs best. But overall, it's been really good. We're very excited for next year. And we just, once you take a week off, you're like, oh, you're ready for the next round, right? Tell me. I mean, like, I feel like that's how we feel. So anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel and you're a homeschool family and you want to see more just helpful ways to ease your life in your homeschool motherhood journey, then be sure to subscribe, and hopefully we can do this better together. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.